Buenos dias, buenos dias, buenos dias. Guys, interoperability and modularity are the name of the game for crypto in 2023. In my previous video, I talked to you about the differences and similarities between Avalanche, Polkadot, and Cosmos. And in today's video, I want to throw in a new contender that is apparently going to join this space, and that is no other than Cardano. First of all, a quick disclaimer. I'm obviously heavily invested into the Cosmos ecosystem. This YouTube channel is mainly focused on Cosmos. I'm the co-founder of Cosmoverse, which is the annual conference of the Cosmos ecosystem. And also I'm the co-founder of Stakecito, which is a proof-of-stake validator running on 30 plus chains that are mostly in Cosmos. That said, I do not have any exposure to Cardano. However, I've been following the project basically since I joined crypto, which was before Cardano even launched. And I must say, over the years, I have always been staying up to date and seeing the Cardano ecosystem come to life. So in this video, I'm going to start with sharing number one, the history of the Cardano project. Number two, how sidechains work on Cardano. And number three, I will talk about specifically the project that is being built on the Cosmos SDK as a Cardano sidechain. Now, the origin story of Cardano actually dates back all the way to 2015. And 2015 was just a year after Charles Hoskinson actually left Ethereum. Yes, because Charles is actually the co-founder of Ethereum. And after some internal disputes between the co-founders, I guess the bottom line is also 6 co-founders is just way too many. But especially after some disputes with Vitalik Buterin over the idea to potentially make Ethereum a commercial company or to keep it as a foundation, in which Charles had the view that Ethereum should be commercial, they should have investors, they should have a business model. And Vitalik said, no, it should remain a foundation. That eventually led to the departure of Charles. And Charles then a year later built out the first ideas for Cardano. And the way Cardano is structured is that there are basically 3 core entities behind the project. And these 3 entities together are holding 5.2 billion ADA following the Genesis launch in summer of 2017. Now, the first and probably most important entity out of these 3 is called IOHK, which stands for Input Output Hong Kong. In fact, they just rebranded and are now called IOG, which stands for Input Output Global. And that company was founded by Charles Hoskinson, who is also the CEO, as well as Jeremy Wood. That is a for-profit company that is there to ensure the software development on the Cardano blockchain, and it's also the research arm of Cardano. Almost 2.5 billion ADA were allocated to IOHK when they launched. The second entity is the Cardano Foundation. The Cardano Foundation is a non-profit organization that is focused on the core development as well as the ecosystem growth. Nearly 700 million ADA were allocated to the Cardano Foundation when they launched. And the third entity is called Emurgo. Emurgo is the marketing / venture / incubator arm of Cardano, and they are based out of Japan. And over 2 billion ADA was allocated to Emurgo, which is there in order to grow the Cardano ecosystem and to also onboard new applications and users. What's special about Cardano is that they actually have never published a single white paper. In fact, Cardano has released hundreds of academic research papers over the years, especially in the field of proof-of-stake, consensus algorithms, and decentralization, also highly technical papers. And that in the same time has also been kind of like a criticism from the rest of the crypto ecosystem, because they were oftentimes just considered as a scientific research project and not a serious Ethereum competitor or even an Ethereum killer, which is also sometimes the narrative that the Cardano community is kind of like spreading, that they are faster, better, more decentralized than Ethereum, and hence Ethereum will become obsolete in the future. Cardano actually has a roadmap that is being split up into 5 development phases. We are currently in the 4th out of these 5 phases. The first one was the Byron phase, which was pre-mainnet launch. The second one was Shelly, which was which brought to us the mainnet launch of Cardano, followed by Gogan, which brought us smart contracts in September of 2021. And currently we are in the Basho phase, which was introduced in January of 2022. And this phase focuses on optimization, scalability, enhancements, and most important, interoperability of the Cardano network. And Basho also introduces sidechains, which are basically new blockchains that are interoperable and being settled on the Cardano main layer. The final era, which is called Voltaire, is then focused on bringing on-chain governance as well as a treasury system, which is very important to understand that currently Cardano, similar to Avalanche, which was one of the learnings I had from my research doing these videos, they both do not actually have on-chain governance, right? And in Cosmos, we sometimes complain about it because there's so much drama, but we actually do have a working and functional governance framework that is fully on-chain. Now, if we look at ADA utilities, we can see that they are mainly used as transaction fees, staking or bonding, and in the future also for governance purposes, right? And ADA is obviously the native coin of the Cardano platform that actually has a max supply of 45 billion coins, which also always leads me to the question that what is going to happen once the security budget is being used, right? Because they cannot fund the network security as a proof of stake chain through inflation because it has a hard cap. And currently we are already at almost 34 billion coins that are in circulation. So there's only 11 billion coins left, which at a current price of around 40 cents is not that much money that is left to incentivize network security, right? So that's going to be interesting. And if you're from the Cardano community and you have an answer to that question, please let me know in the comments. I'm more than happy to understand how this will play out long term. That said, currently the inflation rate for the ADA coin is 4.64%, which obviously decreases over time and is going to zero. And Cardano also did a fundraiser that lasted from September 2015 to January of 2017, where they raised over $62 million. Now, what's noteworthy to say here is that with the mainnet launch in 2020, Cardano was actually one of the first proof of stake implementations in production. And their proof of stake platform is called Ouroboros. And that proof of stake framework has no slashing and no unbonding, which is, as a user, quite cool, right? I'm sure it does come with some trade-offs, but I'm not going to go into depth here about how Ouroboros works. However, I encourage you to do your research about that from here on. Also, Cardano implements an extended version of Bitcoin's UTXO model, which stands for Unspent Transaction Output. And I also highly encourage you to do your research on that, also to better understand how Bitcoin works. For smart contracts, Cardano actually uses a programming language called Haskell, which apparently, according to Cardano, does provide significant security advantages. As of my understanding, developers, however, are kind of like having a hard time to use Haskell, and it's not as widely used as, for example, Rust or Go or even Solidity, right? Now, sidechains are also a concept that is widely adopted in the Ethereum space, right? For example, Polygon is a sidechain to Ethereum, where the final settlement and security is being provided by Ethereum. And you also see a lot of different versions of sidechains on the Ethereum ecosystem. Cardano, with the launch of Basho, is now implementing the first sidechains that are fully interoperable with the Cardano ecosystem and where the final settlement actually happens on the Cardano settlement layer, right? So IOG, the company, has assembled a team of engineers to build a toolkit for building custom sidechains, which allows developers to more easily create custom blockchains, right? And this is super important for customizability and flexibility, which we are always covering here on Cryptocito when we talk about the app chain thesis, the app chain philosophy that we have pioneered here in the Cosmos world. Now, the benefit of sidechains in the Cardano is that they can enable higher throughput without reduction of decentralization or security. So as of my understanding, the sidechains on Cardano are also basically leveraging the security provided by the Cardano main layer. Now, what's interesting about that is that Cardano on the main layer actually uses the UTXO transaction model, as I explained to you earlier, but sidechains will actually have the ability to support account-based models such as Ethereum and basically the rest of crypto besides Bitcoin. Thus, they're interoperable with external networks more easily. EVM sidechains that are coming to Cardano include Milkomeda, which is developed by the DC Sparks team, and IOG's EVM sidechain project, codenamed Mamba. Third point of this video is the Cosmos-based sidechain on Cardano. And that is actually a project that is being developed both by IOG themselves and a project called World Mobile Token. What is World Mobile? World Mobile is a Cardano-based crypto project that is using blockchain technology to provide internet access in areas that are lacking telecom infrastructure. So basically, they're building a peer-to-peer network where providers can just be normal people that have a computer and share internet access and also secure the network at the same time. They also have a native coin, which is called the World Mobile Token, and that is the utility token that powers the sharing economy of World Mobile's global mobile network. And the way they achieve this is by building a Cosmos SDK built chain that is also implementing Tendermint, which is basically now called Comet BFT. And also, as of my understanding, they are going to implement IBC. The World Mobile Chain will also then settle the final transactions on the Cardano mainnet. The World Mobile Group CEO Mickey Watkins said in a statement that, quote, "This introduces new possibilities for interoperability between the Cosmos and Cardano ecosystems." Further, he said the move was necessary to comply with telecoms regulation. Now, final and probably most important point of all of them, what is the man himself? What is Charles Hoskinson saying about all this? Well, in fact, Charles seems to be quite euphoric and positive about this development. He seems to be excited because also IOG is obviously involved in building it, but he also seems to be excited about bridging to the Cosmos ecosystem, right? And now, what does Charles think of Cosmos? Listen to what he has to say about Cosmos in this clip.
Most popular one right now appears to be Cosmos. So Cosmos allows you to write a custom blockchain and you can iterate rapidly.
Well, I hope you find that video educating and you learn something. And my conclusion is that the end game is interoperability and modularity. And the more ecosystems are joining that train earlier, the better, right? It's just a net positive for the entire space. Personally, I'm not the biggest Cardano fan, but I do like to see when projects are coming out of their own world, open up their eyes and see what else is going on in the rest of crypto and establish bridges, establish also connections and synergies also between the communities, between applications, so that in the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're in Cardano, if you're in Cosmos, if you're in Polkadot, if you're in Avalanche, if you're in Ethereum, it will all be just the infrastructure layer below. What really matters is the applications that are built on top and how seamless the user experience is, and also how accessible the liquidity is, right, on all these chains. In the end of the day, we still have to build out the infrastructure. And I personally always feel reassured when I see these things that with Cosmos, I'm on the right train. I hope you learned something. Stay safe, guys, and be good. I'll see you in the next one.